These are really big spiders. So, how do you think you would react if spiders in real life could get this big?
Everybody would have a flamethrower at home.
Oh, I'm not talking about like the world. I'm just like you personally. Like suddenly you wake up one day and everything like you've been transported to an alternate universe where everything's exactly the same except um, the spiders can get as big as these crag spiders. Like how do you react to that?
And everyone else, it was normal to them all along.
Yeah. Like you know, you talk to your friends and your family and people you live with and all that stuff, and it's like you're like these spiders. The spiders are huge, and they're like no, that's just how big spiders get.
My first order of business would be to educate myself. I would go read books on it and stuff. I would say, if spiders can get this big, what else can they do? Do they spit venom or something? Like, I don't know.
Okay, so you just read a whole bunch of books on what the spiders can do.
Well, that would be the first course of action.
Okay. Is there anything else that you do? Like okay, so
Well,
let's
it
say
depends on what it.
you read all the
First,
books.
first step is gather information. Depending
Okay.
on that information, I act.
All
Like
right.
if the information tells me what to expect. I mean, people would have compiled info on this because even though it would be ordinary to them at that point, we compile information on, ferrets. So I know they have books on that.
Okay. So you read a whole bunch
Otherwise,
of
I'd be fine.
books.
If the whole world keeps on turning and everyone has survived and everyone's good, then I will just find a way to adapt to it.
Okay. Okay. So you read a whole bunch of books on these big ass spiders, and you find out that like nothing's really changed about like their venom and stuff, but like the spider silk is like really thick strands, because they're like giant ass spiders, right? So they got to have like bigger webs to like support them. So the spider silk is like fucking rope instead of little thin strands or whatever, right? And
Hmm.
so this giant thick spider web rope is it's I mean if like you step in it like it's just like glue. Like it takes like forever. Like you can cut it off, but like it takes like a long time for it to dissolve, and it's like it can like ruin your clothing and all that kind of crap. But people use it to make bungee cords, So does that change anything about what you do or anything?
Why would it?
I don't know. I
I
mean,
already know that if I got close enough for the webbing to affect me, that I'd probably be dead anyway. So let me
okay,
let me let me say this:
all right.
is there a possible way for me to saddle the spider and ride it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, um,
Then
spider
that's what I'll
rodeo
be
is like
doing.
a national pastime in this alternate universe world. Like
Should
spiders
be a
take
good
the
enough.
place of horses because they're better at climbing. Because it's like
If
imagine
I
if
get bitten by it, do I get great power with great responsibility?
no, no, no. And as a matter of fact, the Spider-Man franchise doesn't exist. Instead, it's Horseman. Because like spiders and horses have
Horseman.
changed places because horses are really small because the spiders are really big.
So he probably lives somewhere like Kansas,
Yeah.
and
Well, actually, it's like Wyoming,
he
but.
goes Wyoming, yeah. He goes riding through the plains to save people.
Yeah,
I can see that.
yeah. I think that improves the Spider-Man comic. I think that's the fix that it needs. Okay. Here's a hypothetical. All right. So, what if you wake up one day, right? And
Which I do.
what's that?
Which I do. I wake up each day.
Okay, okay. So you wake up one day, and you wake up to find that you are you are Whittleby. Like you wake up and it's like you're his body, not like the gnome body, but like the real Whittleby body that you chose, right? Like hairy feet, 3 feet tall, everything. All right. So what do you do?
I invest in a very sturdy stepladder, and I carry it with me everywhere I go.
All right. So that's the first thing you do whenever you wake up is you're like, wow, I guess I need a stepladder now.
Yep, that would be the first thing.
See, because I think the first thing that I would do if I was in that situation is I would be like, okay, I turned into my druid from EverQuest. Can I cast my spells? You know, like does magic work? That would be my first thing, I think, in that situation. But, then again, I don't know, I mean, it's not my druid, That's what I was going to say. Then again, it's not my druid.
So I woke up and I was my druid character.
Right.
I would have druid powers.
I mean, I don't know. Do you? I mean, you'd have to find out. Right?
Well, if I was going to wake up one day as my character, like truly my character,
yeah,
I would have to read the P99 wiki and learn what I can do.
Okay.
I mean, I already know what I can do to an extent. Come on, you jerk dog. He's trying to say I'm not charming. Well, that's one thing I'd be able to do, right? Animals would love me. Against their will, but they love me.
Okay. So you wake up as your druid, and and you're like, okay, I need a stepladder, because you're like, okay, that's the first thing is I need a stepladder, and then suddenly you feel yourself gain a tick of mana, like you don't really you can't really describe, but you just know you feel a new sensation. And some part of your brain just registers it as, more mana. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you have no idea how to cast any spells. Like you don't know anything. So then what do you do?
I would assume that over time I would get a feel for it, just like I was able to know that I got a tick of mana. I would learn how to cast spells. I'd read all about the lore of EverQuest since I know that I am something from that universe. And I would try my best. Once I got a feel for what I had to do to cast spells and stuff, I would join the Olympics
okay.
and race. But before the race began, I would cast Spirit of Wolf on myself.
Okay.
Secretly,
so you would use your newfound magic abilities that you would develop. I'm assuming over the course of months or years, to be able to cheat at the Olympics 100-yard dash or whatever, or 100-meter dash. I don't know how they do it in the Olympics. I don't know what the...
And I'd go to hospitals and I'd use heals and cure disease and cure poison. I'd be the best doctor.
Yeah.
And I could go anywhere because I have ports.
Yeah. Okay, ports. I mean, well, you've got ports to
airlines out of business.
No, you've got ports to Sheerful Glade and East Commons and that kind of stuff, right? So there's a question. So you've learned how to cast. You've learned how to cast all your spells, right? So you've learned how to cast all your spells, but you know that your ports take you to the same places you can port to in EverQuest. Do you cast one of the ports?
Look, I'd at least have to have a port to Stonehenge.
No. It's
You know
exactly
that's
the
a druid
ports.
ring.
It's well, yeah, but there are druid rings that you don't get ports to that are in EverQuest. There's a druid ring in Fear Rot, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you can port there. So yeah, you've got your ports, and they're to East Commons and East Corana, and you've got you've even got the Sherful Glade port, right? You've even got that one.
Would I port there without knowing if I could port back? Absolutely not, because EverQuest is a world where you die.
Okay. See now that's the wrong answer. You know why that's the wrong answer? Because you could just cast Bind Affinity on
Well,
yourself and then gate back.
that's true. That is a good point.
See, you didn't think about that. Okay, so what if you wake up one day and you haven't been turned into Whittleby, but your brother has. What about that?
Free ports, free heals. I
Free
got one
ports.
for you.
Okay.
You wake up tomorrow
All right.
and there's a faction system now.
Ooh.
And we all know there's reputation really exists in real life, but now you can have such low faction with people
Uh-huh.
that they'll kill you on sight.
Hmm.
And they could be anywhere. They could be in the Starbucks you walk into, they can be in Walmart down a particular aisle. You have to spend the rest of your life, I assume, slowly walking around and considering each person carefully.
Okay. Well, all right. So
But
so
also it affects your prices. If you gain reputation and faction with people, things may be cheaper. You may be able to get a big screen TV for $20. If you grind out enough faction with someone, maybe do them some favors.
so if I like grind up enough faction with Best Buy, I can get like all of my electronics for the rest of my life for like practically free.
If you keep the faction up.
Okay. What kind of things affect faction? Like, do I have to kill people to gain my faction up, or can I do would shopping at Target lower my Walmart faction, and vice versa? Or what mechanics
hmm
actually govern the faction changes?
Generally, if you do something that one faction likes, your faction goes up
Uh
with
huh.
them, but it goes down with those that oppose them.
Okay.
People can offer you quests, like maybe, a friend might ask you to help them move, and doing that would gain faction with that individual, but it is just an individual. Maybe discovering, I don't know, some new research topic, working for a university or something, would gain faction for the university and have them, you gain faction with them.
Okay. And this is just like an instantaneous instinctual thing that everybody can just like tap into. It's like you look at somebody and you know all their faction standings with each other, or what? Because like if I'm operating on this faction system, like in EverQuest, it's like the all the real people that can gain and lose faction, they're all indifferent to each other. It's only the NPCs that you have to worry about changing your your factions with. Um, so in this world, am I like the only PC and everybody else is an NPC, or uh, or is it something else?
I don't
Like
think they're indifferent to each other. Guards kill gnolls on sight and stuff.
no. I'm saying all the players, right? All the
Uh,
players are indifferent to one another.
I see what you mean.
So but in real life, everybody's a player, you know. So
hmm
how does that work? Like who's an NPC in this situation? Who do I actually need to con? Because if I'm running through Freeport, I don't have to worry about conning the Ixar running around outside. You know, like I know that he's a player. I know that Ixar don't belong in Freeport. I don't have to worry about that. But like, if I'm in
The thing
Catalyst,
is that you can gain or lower faction with anyone.
okay,
They may not gain or lower faction with each other because they're not from this world, but you are now.
okay.
So, I mean,
So it's like I'm the only player.
you're going to have to consider everybody. So, like, when you walk into a Best Buy, you don't know yet what you con to them, or what they
Okay,
con to you, I mean. So, you would have to, through observation and so on, gather whether or not they like you. And from, if one of the members of the staff likes you, you can assume that, at least in that professional atmosphere or environment, that all of them will like you because they all belong to the same faction. Now, once they're off the clock, that may be different.
okay, okay. Um, so then I'll have to figure out, you know, what actions actually count towards faction raising, because like selling goods to one merchant in EverQuest doesn't like lower your faction with a competing merchant. Like even though some merchants do explicitly state that they're in competition with one another. There's a couple of halfling merchants in Rivervale, and one of them says, "Don't sell to this guy, sell to me instead." Um, so like, you know, but I don't lose faction with either merchant if I sell to one. You know what I'm saying? Like, so does selling to Target lower faction with Walmart? Is like shopping at Walmart considered a quest? And if I find what I need, then I've passed the quest, I've succeeded, and I get a faction hit.
I would say it's akin to the game.
Okay.
So I would say that you're not gonna lose great faction with Target for shopping once at Walmart. But if
Okay.
you choose to exclusively shop at Walmart, you probably lose some faction with Target.
All right. Well, in that case, I don't think I have to change too much. What is so I'm assuming that I can just like push a button. I can just push the C button in my brain and just consider whoever I'm currently like staring at or looking at or whatever.
No, you're gonna have to observe them. You're gonna have to figure out.
Well, I mean, like, I have to. I mean, that's
Like, you walk to the entrance of Best Buy and you look in. And are they smiling at you? Are they looking like they don't care if you exist? Are they scowling at you? And if you see them scowling, you know they're probably going to attack you. If they look indifferent, then they're indifferent. You're not pressing a button. You're actually observing actively with your eyes.
well. Then it's something that's
But
just
it
happening.
amounts to almost the same thing.
Yeah. So it's just like I look at somebody and I can take a half a second and determine whether or not that person's going to attack me if I get too close to him. Right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then that doesn't change too much. You know, I'll just make sure that I find the places that scowl at me, and the places that are amiable. You know, and I just make a note because I'll assume that factions are going to be mostly like allied. You know, like I expect that the McDonald's faction and the Wendy's faction, they probably don't exactly get along too well, whereas maybe like I don't know the Oshkosh Bagosh faction and the Bed Bath and Beyond faction, maybe they don't really care about each other that much, because it's like it's different, you know what I'm saying? So like so I don't think that changes too much, to be honest. I think I just have to be a little bit careful when I'm out in public, and other than that, not to mention, I think that might actually be a boon, because then I could be like,
You walk into a place where people are scowling at you,
okay,
and you get too close,
well, okay,
they'll all run up
place
to you
what
like
place
zombies.
What place is it?
Well, let's just say, for instance,
Uh-huh.
there's a place out there that doesn't like you. Like,
Well,
let's say,
okay, but what
let's
place is
say
it? But what place is
you
it? I need
quit a
to. I need to
job.
know. I need to know what place it is. So,
Okay, okay. Think of your last job. Let's assume that because you quit them, your faction is lowered. Not necessarily, you may have left on good terms, but just as a hypothetical situation. Your
okay.
previous job now scowls at you.
Well,
The employees, the bosses there. And so, let's say you get too close to them, right?
uh huh.
They'll come charging at you and start attacking you with whatever they have. If they have
Okay.
weapons, well, you're going to take damage, right?
Okay. Okay.
So, the only way you're going to survive, unless you're higher level than them and you're willing, like higher age than them
Uh huh.
and have more experience, then you're willing to kill them. Otherwise, you're going to have to run to the nearest city limit and zone out of the city.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So I'm thinking that that would either be the last school that I taught at before the one that I work at now, or it would be Kroger's, because I used to work for Kroger's a long time ago, and that's pretty much the only two jobs I've ever had. Um, so, um, if it's at a school, like if it's at that school, that's no big deal because I'll just run to the SRO, and since I have good faction with the police, then I'll just dump all that aggro
Mm-hmm.
off onto the police officer and let him kill them all. And then I can loot the bodies. And if it's at the Kroger's, that's really close to
Yeah.
the edge of the. That's really close to the city limits. So I think I'd be able to hit the zone line.
Yeah, I mean, you loot one of them. Let's say they have a nice pair of gloves. Well, now you have gloves you can wear,
Exactly.
and that helps you because the next person you run into
Well,
might try to scratch you in your hands.
Are they clicky gloves that give me Sal? Are they J gloves?
No, you'd have to kill world bosses for that, which is pretty much like political leaders and kings and stuff.
Okay, what's the respawn timer on like I don't know, Tony Blair then? Because I imagine he's got some pretty good loot.
I don't know. What do you think would be a fair? Would they respawn each day? Would you have to wait a generation?
Well, I think that I think it's the quality of the world boss, you know, like because like if it's a raid boss, then it would take probably like a realistic time figure could be like up to a month. And if it's like just a regular like world boss, just average dude in the world, then it might be something more like like a day or two. I mean, that's what it is in EverQuest, right? It's like a few hours to a day. When a few hours in EverQuest is a full day. A couple of weeks in EverQuest would be like, I guess, a couple of years. So maybe a few years for like big world political leaders, But I imagine that would be like the equivalent of like a raid boss, you know what I'm saying? Because like, right?
Yeah, I mean, here in the United States, it looks like everyone's always gathering for a raid
Yeah, exactly.
in all the zones.
Yeah. um, but no, so yeah, so what kind of loot does Tony Blair drop? Because I'm thinking I might want to go camp him.
I don't know.
You don't know? What about George W?
Well, here's the thing: you don't know what loot they drop unless you've looted them yourselves or you've read about it somewhere. But since you're the only one clued in, no
I'm
one's
the only
writing
one.
books about who
Okay,
has
that's a
what
piece
loot.
of information you didn't give me before. That I'm the only one clued in. In that case, I definitely
No, I said
dump aggro into the police, and then I can loot all the nice gloves. Maybe I'll go find some corrupt politicians, because maybe I don't care about the corrupt politician faction as much. And actually, I can make things really nice. So I'll purposefully tank my corrupt politician faction, and purposefully just raise as high as I can my faction with good cops, right? And then I'll just dump the corrupt politicians onto the good cops, and let the problem solve itself that way. I think that'd be a good, clean solution.
Assuming that the corrupt politicians aren't higher level and they secretly share faction with the good cops.
Well, no, the corrupt politicians don't share faction with the good cops. They share faction with the corrupt cops. Like the corrupt Kanos.
But how would you know which ones that are corrupt and good cops?
Because I would know which ones are scowling at me and which ones are amiable at me. And good cops would appreciate things like helping old ladies across the street.
See, you have the interesting class, because if you suddenly woke up tomorrow and you were your rogue, you'd be able to sneak, hide, stealth through locker rooms. You'd be able to go into bank vaults, pick locks.
Yeah.
And no one could trust you because you just backstab everyone.
Well, no, everyone would have to trust me because I could backstab them.
You'd pick pockets, so I wouldn't have anything in my pockets.
Yep, do that.
You'd just have lint. You'd pick my pocket and come back with lint.
Yeah, no, I've got the best class for this whole situation.
It's debatable.
Okay, what class would you debate would be better for this situation than a rogue?
Yeah, Carb says that that people have guns, so I mean, you try to backstab people, but you'd be taking range damage the whole time.
Makes sense. No. Rogues get deadly attack with ranged weapons if they shoot from behind. So I could get like a silenced pistol and then assassinate people for massive amounts of damage. It's all about itemization.
Some of the classes would be real tough to be because, you want to be a mage, right? You can summon food and drink anytime you want.
Pretty nice.
You can summon dimensional pockets to carry everything you want, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, but
I mean, if you summon any
any
pets, everyone's going to think you flat out crazy and try to hurt you.
Yeah, but if you go to sleep for more than 15 minutes, all your summoned items are going to disappear.
Yeah. Shaman or Shadow Knight might be good. It's true. If I was a shaman and I summoned a wolf pet, no one would think much of it. I mean, they might think it's weird that I have a wolf, but I could tell them it's a mixed breed with a dog, Enchanter would be way useful.
Okay, Enchanter
Charming
would be
people.
pretty good. Enchanter would be pretty good.
Yeah, Enchanter would probably win them all.
I'd argue Shaman or Shadow Knight. I'd argue Rogue would be better than Shaman or Shadow Knight, but Enchanter, I think Carb's
You
got
can
me.
increase faction on the fly. You can appear like other races and stuff.
Well, I mean, rogues get those illusion masks. Don't forget about the illusion masks that rogues get. Okay. So here's a hypothetical. You wake up one day, okay, and you discover that the United States of America, right? It's almost exactly the same, right? But whenever you reference, like you say the state that you're living in, right? Everybody's like, what? Like they don't understand what you're talking about, right? They're just like, huh? And like they've never heard of it. And if you mention the United States, they're like, what? And so you come to find out that people don't recognize United States or United States of America, right? But they just it's like Antarctica, right? And instead of Europe, it's they don't recognize that, they recognize Feydewyr. But it's not shaped like Antarctica or Feydewyr. or Kunark or any of that. It's or you know or oh hell, I forgot what the name of the landmass where Erudin is.
Otis?
Otis, thank you. They don't recognize they recognize those names, but right, it's like it's like you know like Europe and Africa and Australia, you know, like instead of those names, it's like Otis and Kunark and Fadeware, right? And like the landmasses don't look like the EverQuest landmasses. They just they just have those EverQuest names instead. So what do you do?
Nothing. I just change how I refer to the place I live in. I read books. That would be my first order of business if anything was screwy at all. My first order of business would always be learn as much as I can, whether it be through the internet or books or reading articles or whatever.
Okay.
Gather information, then make judgment calls.
Okay.
So in that case, the only thing I do is change how I refer to places based on what is now the reality.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Okay. So you're trying to gather information about this, right? And you find out that like that like 1,000 years ago or more, or actually not or more, but like between 300 and 500 years ago, whenever all these like landmasses were being discovered, like originally they had the names that you're familiar with, you know, like they had like Europe and Spain and all that kind of stuff, right? But then they got there was a popular game, like a popular like board game that swept the world, and the game used the same names as the nations from EverQuest, and so all of the real world landmasses were renamed to this to these landmasses after this like board game, right? Which just coincidentally happens to be the same as the names of the landmasses in EverQuest from this universe. Okay, so does that change anything about how you think about the world?
Well, I mean, it probably wouldn't change much in the long run, besides maybe how much I drink.
Okay, so it changes how much you drink. You become an alcoholic because of the changes.
Like, is it a life within a game? Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
That this reminds me of.
All right.
Inconsequential story. Don't know if it ever really happened or if it's true at all.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I found this on Reddit in like I want to say it was like the No Sleep subreddit or something. So you know it's probably made up bullshit. But
right. Okay.
It's also really fucking interesting.
Okay.
So a guy I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact words or anything.
Okay.
A guy's coming home from work and he gets in a car accident, real bad car accident.
Okay.
And he ends up in a hospital in a coma, right?
Right.
And he is in this comatose state, and just like they say, while he's in this state, he can hear the voice of his wife.
Okay.
And his kids. He can hear them asking him to wake up. He can hear them saying they miss him.
Okay.
And he fights real hard. He wants to wake up. He wants to see his family again.
Okay.
And he does. He wakes up, and they're all gathered around him at the hospital. He's been comatose for a while.
Okay.
And he's so happy to see him. You know, it's a tearful reunion. And he says, I don't think I could have made it without you guys. You know, I heard your voices the whole time.
Right.
And you guys gave me strength.
Okay.
So he goes home.
Mm-hmm.
He gets dismissed from the hospital. He goes home and everything.
Right.
He tries his best to be part of life again, go back to his old job, see his old friends, and all that stuff, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then one day he's sitting on the couch at home. Months have passed, maybe a couple of years,
Uh-huh.
and he's watching TV, and he's in bed, and his wife's in bed next to him. She's reading a book. He's just watching TV. The lamp's on. He has work in the morning, and he
Okay.
hears a voice telling him to wake up,
Okay.
and no one else hears it.
Okay.
And it's voices of people he knows telling him to wake up.
Okay. Okay.
And that's ultimately it. That's pretty much the whole thing. Is this was written on Reddit as if it was real. The guy said, "I still hear voices. I go to my job, but people are telling me to wake up. I think I'm still in a coma somewhere."
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's I mean, that's a little creepy.
It is. It's a little creepy.
But like, I don't know. So what do you do if you're in that situation? Do you? I guess you read up after you read up on comas, because you've already established
I'd
the
go
first
see a
thing you do.
psychiatrist.
What's that?
I'd go see a therapist. I really would.
Okay.
Not to say that I would think I'm crazy, but I would need someone to help me deal with it.
Yes, kindly one.
It
That
doesn't
was,
mean I would be confident they could, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. Yes, kindly one. The that story Kazarus says came from the No Sleep subreddit. Okay. So you go to a psychiatrist. Okay. You know what I would do if I was in that situation? I would accept that my life, whether it's a dream or not, is real to me, and just make like the best of it. And then, I would maybe try to wake up, but I wouldn't really stress myself out if I couldn't. You know, like I think I've got a pretty good mindset for coping with that kind of stuff, because like what I experience is my reality. And who's to say that the real reality is any better than my reality? Like, especially if I don't have any choice in that, right? So like, why should that really bother me if I don't have a choice? Like,
Well, what if you're not in the real reality,
okay,
and which you can't know
okay,
if you are not, and your family is in the real reality, and they're just torn apart
yeah,
without
but
you.
I don't know that because I'm not in the real reality. Like
It's
you hear me
really
saying?
fucking fast suddenly. You can't know that, but you know it's a possibility.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't stress
Wouldn't
about
that
that because
possibility impact you?
no, because ultimately it's not me that needs to do anything. It's the doctors in the hospital that I'm in that need to do something to wake me
Well,
up.
I'm not saying there would be any responsibility on your part.
Well, then if there's no
But it
responsibility,
doesn't
then why
change
worry
that.
about it? Like that's the thing.
Because
Like,
people
right?
worry
Is
about
it,
a lot of things that aren't their fault.
well,
It's
yeah,
human nature
but
to worry about things that aren't your fault.
no. I would say it's human nature to worry about things that are in your control. Now, some people will worry about things that aren't in their control, and I think it's natural to worry about that kind of stuff to begin with. But ultimately, if it's not in your control, there's no point in worrying about it. And I think that I'm mentally at a place where I could ultimately, in that situation, it might suck for a little bit, but I think ultimately I could get myself to the mindset where I would say, you know what, it's not in my control, it's in the hands of the doctors, and instead of ruining my reality that I'm experiencing here, I'm going to enjoy it. And if I wake up to a better or a real reality, then that's going to be awesome. And if I don't, then that's awesome too. You know? Like,
I need to med for a moment.
okay. I mean, that's just
I'm gonna go over here.
how I feel about those kinds of things.
Yeah. Another story I read that was really interesting,
Uh-huh.
and this was not on Reddit, so it's
Okay.
not a no sleep or anything. This was a real documented case that happened.
Ooh. Okay.
I forget when. It was a long time ago. Maybe 50s, 60s or something, 70s. I don't know.
Okay.
Once again, I'm paraphrasing. I may even be wrong about some of the details because I don't remember everything perfect. But there was this lady, and she suddenly started hearing voices. Two voices, I think. Two other ladies speaking in her mind,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. And I forget if they told her they were doctors or something. I don't remember. And they told her that she needed to go to a doctor immediately because there was a tumor in her brain.
Uh-oh.
So at first she freaked out and stuff, didn't listen, but then she came to think, well, why not? You know, I might as well try.
Okay.
So she goes to a doctor and she gets a scan and it comes back with nothing wrong. And so she goes home and she thinks, well, maybe I'm just crazy. So she goes and sees the therapist and everything. And the voices in her head continue to tell her, you need to go see a different doctor. They didn't scan right. Her therapist says, whether or not you're hearing real people, real voices, you can't know, but you're always going to wonder, so maybe you should go get a second opinion. Maybe you should go see a doctor again.
Okay.
So she goes again, and this time she makes sure to get the proper scan, just as the voices said, and they do find a tumor.
Okay.
So they remove the tumor, everything's successful, everything's good, and when she wakes up in the hospital bed after the surgery, the last thing she hears is like the voices saying, you did good, I'm so proud of you, goodbye. And then she never hears them again the rest of her life.
Okay. And that's it? That's the end?
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then feel free to like and subscribe, and if you want to, you can leave a comment down below to let me know your thoughts. For those of you who'd like to see this content live, I've left a link to my Twitch stream down in the description below. Until next time, peace out.